Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this lecture series or meditation series. This is session 4 of a series called War is Hell, colon, reflections or meditations, I think I had it, of an ex-Marine. My name is Douglas Lummis, and I am that very ex-Marine who's meditating along with you. In the first 3 sessions, I tried to talk about what it is about war that distinguishes it from other human activities, its special characteristic. And I identified that characteristic as war is a situation in which things which in ordinary life are considered despicable and horrific and disgusting, in war they are considered legal, permitted, and even honorable. And I asked the question, how so? Who says that war is honorable and permissible? And there's a clear answer. The state does, because the state says so, and that's why it's so. How that works is a little bit dubious. But today I want to talk about repeating again that this permission, this allowance of the activities of the actions of war takes 3 forms. First of all, you don't get arrested for it. And that's easy for the state to organize. It would be the state that would arrest you, so they just don't. And soldiers are not arrested for being soldiers in belligerent situations as long as they follow the laws of war. That's how it is. Secondly, aside from being arrested or not arrested, you should not be criticized. People should not shun you or think of you as a despicable person because you did those acts. And in fact, they should honor you. And that's something also that the state can organize, although not quite so easily as making it legal. That is, the state can use its power over public opinion, its propaganda, and so on, to persuade the public, or at least most of the public, to allow and, as I said, honor uh, people carrying out the acts of war. Uh, but there's a third aspect that has to be done, and that is the person who carried out these acts must not think that uh, he or she sometimes uh, behaved badly, should not have pangs of conscience, should not have backflashes or flashbacks of memory shock, or nightmares when suddenly what the person saw or did comes back unadorned and raw and drives you into a panic. That also should not happen. But sometimes it does. it helps to prevent that. To prevent that, it helps to adorn the acts of war with something attractive, to decorate it, to embody it in a story, exciting and beautiful story of heroism or patriotism, uh, love of your comrades, and there are lots of other things that are we attach to war. Uh, these adornments or decorations uh, help somewhat. It's interesting that we even call medals that the government gives to its heroic soldiers, we call them decorations, like decorations on a Christmas tree. Some things we hang on. Uh, it's hard to make them all that substantive. One of the decorations or adornments that we try to attach to war in order to make it more palatable is godliness or sacredness. If we can find some way to attach uh, the god or gods that we believe in to the acts of war, it uh, sometimes makes them easier to do and easier to forget. But how we do that is this is something that's been done from ancient times, and how we do it depends, of course, on what god or gods we choose uh, to do this work for us. Work for us is a funny way to put it, but anyway, to serve this function as a way to make killing and risking death easier. It depends on what gods uh, we asked to do this. And I'm going to talk today about two very powerful examples. Uh, Way back in the early uh, centuries of human civilization, or Western civilization, actually, the first is the great story written by the mysterious poet named Homer, the Iliad, the story that not everybody has read, but everybody knows at least something about. Every Western person, everyone who has been through the Western educational system knows something about it. The war between the Greeks and the Trojans, the Trojan War. In the Trojan War, uh, there's gods everywhere. The gods are hanging around, watching and enjoying this spectacle like a great football game or something. And uh, killing is described in this story as godlike. Uh, the real gods are, as I say, uh, they come down from Mount Olympus to watch as a spectacle, and sometimes they participate a little bit, They will choose a warrior that they particularly like and root for that warrior and sometimes do dirty tricks in favor of helping that warrior uh, win a fight against one of the enemies. And uh, when the warrior fights very powerfully and bravely and uh, is successful in killing lots and lots of enemies on the other side, that god is, no, pardon me, that man, that warrior, is described as godlike. And one by one, the expression is used over and over to describe what is godlike about these warriors. Uh, so and so behaved like a god. He killed 9 men in one swoop. So and so has behaved like a god because he killed so and so so easily. Uh, so and so is like a god in the way he uses his sword or the way he uses his bow and arrow. Uh, and the question is, what exactly is godlike about this? And there is an answer. If you read carefully, what it is being able to kill without getting killed yourself. But there's a difference. The gods can do this because they're immortal. They cannot die. They're structurally, they're doomed to eternal life. And if you don't believe it, take notice that uh, the other name by which they're called, other than gods, is immortals. In Greek, athanatos. Thanatos means death, and is the uh, im of immortal. Uh, so, yeah, that's their name. They're the immortals, the athanatos. And there's an ironic twist to that, as recent scholars have pointed out. Uh, because of this, they cannot be heroes. Why can't they be heroes? Because heroes requires heroic danger, fear of death. Heroes are people who act in the face of the danger of death and are able to act anyway, even though they're facing that danger. Gods cannot face that danger, so uh, they have no need of courage. Maybe for other things they need courage, but they don't uh, need the courage that mortals need to behave like this. So when a warrior is called is said to be behaving like a god, what it means is because of his great strength and great skill and great courage, he is able to, at least for a while, kill without dying. He can kill the other and not be killed himself. And this gives him the illusion of immortality. He appears to be an immortal. And for that, he is called like a god. But the trouble is, it is illusion. And the gods mock the warriors for this belief. They laugh at them or they mock them and say, "You fool, you think you're like a god? You're like us? You're not like us. We don't die and you do. Ha ha." If you don't believe it, I'll read a couple of quotations. Diomedes was one of the very strong warriors, and he started to challenge another warrior on the other side, a favorite of the god Apollo, and Apollo gets angry at him and shouts at him as follows. I will read the quotation. Apollo, quote, cried out in the voice of terror, "Take care! Give back, son of Tydeus, and strive no longer to make yourself like the gods, since never the same is the breed of gods who are immortal and men who walk groundling." I take it that walk groundling means we walk on the earth. We can't fly up to the top of Mount Olympus. We're to them, we're like squirrels running around or mice, and very entertaining to watch, but nothing there to respect. Another quote. This is the father of all the gods himself, Zeus, or is it pronounced Zeus, to the great Trojan warrior Hector, the strongest of all the Trojan warriors. Zeus shouts to him, "Ah, poor wretch, there is no thought of death in your mind now, and yet death stands close beside you. You think, you imagine that you're not going to die. You're not even thinking about it. And you imagine you're like a god, in other words, but it's not going to work. Death is standing right next to you." And that prediction in the story comes true. Shortly after that, Hector loses his illusion of immortality and suddenly understands that he's staring death in the face, and he suffers what the poet calls very eloquently, it seems to me, green fear. I suppose coming from your face turning green with the horror at staring at unadorned, undecorated death. And shortly after that, he suffers again what the poet eloquently calls sheer death. He is killed and there's nothing to decorate it with. just death. So there's something we can learn from this, and that is about war and also about peace. Uh, we imagine our gods at least knowing a lot more than we do, a lot of things that we don't know. And in the uh, Christian religion, and I suppose in the Jewish religion as well, and as Islam, uh, God is described as omniscient. God knows everything. That's what omniscient means, knowledge of everything, the past, the future, everything. But as we imagine the gods in the way that we have constructed them, there's one thing that they do not and cannot know, and that is the fear of death. And the fear of death, of course, is the primal basis of all human morality. I think if you think about it, you'll understand what I'm saying there. Only humans know that. Gods can maybe sympathize with it, they can intellectually know it, they can intellectually imagine, I suppose, what it might feel like to be human and to die and to live in the fear of death, but they cannot feel that fear. They do not have that fear because they do not die. Uh, Only humans have that. And that's one of the important themes I want to emphasize in this lecture series, that peace comes from the idea that peace is an ideal. It grows out of the fear of death, the fact that we are mortals, not gods, and we will die, hopefully not violently, but we will certainly die. The second example I want to talk about, also a document at the very base, the very beginning, the very origins of Western literature, Western letters, and that's the Old Testament of the Bible. And the same is true of the God, as they called him, Yahweh. He also is understood as immortal. And therefore, there's no way that he can feel the fear of death. He does not fear death. Death does not threaten him. It's got nothing to do with him as we imagine him. And there's also nothing about him in the Old Testament until the very later parts about the value of peace. God is Yahweh in the Old Testament is described as a war god, and he is a very bloody, merciless war god. And this takes two forms. One, there are horrific stories of the killing he carried out himself. There is Uh, Yahweh is the first person to bring about uh, bombing from the air and firestorm. That is when he rains uh, fire and brimstone on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and kills everybody except a few faithful believers who escape. Kills just the rest, just everybody there. Uh, why? Because they allow same-sex marriage, and he doesn't like that, so he kills them all. That's the story. You can put flowers on it if you wish and make a religious, moral conclusion somehow. I can't, but that's and the raw story, the unadorned story, is that he kills people because they love the wrong gender. There's that, and then there's the Great Flood, in which, for reasons that are a little bit vaguer than the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, he kills almost every living thing except a male and female of each species. I don't know what he does with the ants and the bees. I don't know if one male and one female would be quite enough, but he puts some animals on the ark and floods the world and kills everything. Uh, and then a slightly smaller scale, when the uh, Israelis are escaping from Egypt, he miraculously drains all the water out of the uh, Red Sea. After the Israelis get across and the Egyptian army is following them, what's the Egyptian army? It's young recruits, teenagers, probably boys uh, from 15 up, kids uh, carrying heavy swords and whatever. And he tricks them by uh, allowing them to walk halfway across the Red Sea and then pulls the plug and fills it full of water and kills them all. It's mass murder, but it's not murder because God did it. Okay. Uh, and he also teaches Moses the laws of war. This is one of the first versions in history of specific law being attached to war. War is legal if you do it this way, but not if you do it that way. Uh, this dual ethic that I've been talking about since the beginning, that killing is sometimes okay and sometimes it's not. So he gives some specific orders. This is not for him to kill, but for the Israelis to kill. He orders them to kill these other people. And he says, if it's a people we don't care much about one way or another, you surround the city and you tell them, so what are you going to do? And if they decide to surrender, then okay, don't kill them, just make them your slaves and let them live. And if they do resist, then fight them, defeat them, and when you got them defeated, don't kill everybody. just kill all the men and then take the women and the cattle and the children and the other domestic animals and whatever wealth they have and make it yours. So that makes war a little more orderly. But if you're fighting the people uh, who are living on the land that I'm going to give you, that's a different matter. Uh, in that case, don't let anybody survive. Kill them all. Put everyone to the sword. As the Bible, this is the King James Version. Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth. You will allow to live nothing that breathes, which means in any living thing, you kill it. Uh, well, not any living animal. Plants live, and you don't kill them. I mean, you, yeah. I mean, pardon me. Plants breathe. Plants don't breathe, so I guess that's why they stay alive. If you want to look it up, this is Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 10 through 17. Read it. It's not very pleasant to read. Uh, so in the Old Testament, war is understood as very painful, but it's not forbidden by any means. It's a very, very warlike story. Well, as a historical document, maybe it describes what really happened in those days, but uh, the special characteristic of this book is that it's not just a history book. It is also claims to be a book that sets down the groundwork for a human ethic. And in that groundwork, uh, killing is honored and required. Uh, Maybe you're thinking, well, there's the Ten Commandments where it says, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill is the King James Version, the King James translation. It's by all means, it's thou shalt not kill. But most modern translators, it seems, have decided that that's a mistranslation. It should be translated as thou shalt not murder. And murder means illegal killing, not legal killing. Some killing is not murder and some is. And you should not do the illegal killing. But it's okay, permitted and required to do the legal killing. It's also something I didn't notice until a few years ago. I'm not a great reader of the Bible, but it's such a remarkable story. I do read parts of it, and I noticed for the first time, it dawned on me to ask the question, does the word peace appear in the Ten Commandments? And I wasn't sure. I had to look it up. And you can look it up yourself. And you will find that peace is not mentioned in the Ten Commandments. It's not one of the commandments, and it's not part of any of the others. There is no requirement, thou shalt seek peace. And so I think that's is a good reason to what turn upside down what we often think of as the requirement of religion. Many people think that the way to mitigate the horror of war, the pain of war, is by uh, paying more attention to religious virtue, spiritual, godlike virtue. But I'm not sure if that's a safe plan. It seems, if you look at history, and we'll talk about this more later, when you put religion and war together, you very often, not always, very often, the result is war in its most horrific form. That is holy war. In the case of holy war, you don't just kill soldiers. Usually, holy war means you kill everybody who believes in the wrong religion, whatever they happen to be doing, or whether they're children or adults or old people or sick or lame or whatever. If they believe in the wrong religion, they're done for. Not always, but that's the extreme force that war can take when religion is added to it. So rather than thinking of peace as something that we need to be taught by the gods, I think that the story goes the other way around. That peace is something that if you want to have gods who are really godlike, we human beings need to teach them the value of peace because they don't know it from their own experience. And that's a big mouthful, I know. But yeah, peace is a human thing, not godlike at all. And we'll talk about that more next time. See you later.